I saw this story from yesterday. It caught my eye about the Washington Commanders. Dan Quinn spoke to the media yesterday. You know, the Commanders went out and got new coordinators, offensive and defensive coordinators. And what we saw last season was that the Commanders underachieved from what they saw 2 years ago. They were essentially the darlings of the NFL 2 years ago. And last season, it was a struggle, and it also had a lot to do with the inability of Jayden Daniels at quarterback. And some of that is because of his style of play. His style of play has not changed from what he was in college. He takes a lot of hits, and that was the concern for Jayden Daniels coming into the NFL. Rookie season, he was unbelievable. Last season, he got hit. He got injured. And there was all kinds of like fluky things, like the thumb injury, which happened. And like, it just was a rough season for the Commanders. And what Dan Quinn said yesterday to the media is that one of the ideas to factor in with the decision with the offensive change and the offensive play calling that's changing heading into this season is they want to play Jayden Daniels under center more, which I think is a great idea. When we look at modern NFL offenses, having quarterbacks under center, and especially when you look at the Shanahan tree, you look at McVay, you look at the way that Ben Johnson is coaching with Caleb Williams, that under center quarterbacks allow you to manipulate the defense more because it's tougher for the defense to know whether or not it's a pass or a run play. And then you can also have the heavy formations out there on the field and then pass out of the heavy formations out of play action. And I think that opens up so much more. And if Jayden Daniels plays under center more this upcoming season, I think it will help him as a quarterback stay healthy, which then in the long run will help the Commanders overall. And I thought it was interesting seeing that from Dan Quinn yesterday.
Yeah, his scramble rate was up 16% in 2025. So he was running more in this offense. And there was a report early in the season, or about halfway through the season, that they were not happy with the, I don't want to necessarily say, because this sounds like a shot at Jayden Daniels, like the speed of the offense, but it's meant at the speed in which the plays were being called and how fast they were getting to the line, and the amount of plays that were being run. They wanted the plays to slow down. So that's not a shot at Jayden Daniels that like he can't comprehend or anything like that. It's that they wanted Cliff Kingsbury to slow the plays down, like get in the huddle, take some time off the clock, because it leads to less hits for Jayden Daniels, and it slows down the offense a little bit, and it leads to less time, and you can kind of take your time with the play and think about things, because that was the quickness of the offense was leading to more hits because he was scrambling more, 60% higher rate, and he was getting hit more, and this was leading to more injuries and more. And then obviously he missed a significant amount of time because Jayden Daniels, it's an injury concern from during the draft process, before he was picked by the Commanders going into the season, and it's a reason you and I were concerned about him going into the draft and all of that, and it's a reason why we liked Caleb Williams and Drake May ahead of him. And it's nothing to do with his style of play. I like him as a player. I think he can be a great quarterback. The problem is, and it's now true, he's injury prone. He can't stay healthy because he takes hits. If he finds a way to play and finds a new offensive coordinator, which they have a new offensive coordinator in there, that can play and teach him how to play within the pocket and stay in the pocket, then maybe he can be on the same level as Caleb and May. But I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know if he can.
Well, he got out of the chute as the number one guy. Like to give you a track analogy,
like
the
NFC Championship game.
His rookie season, he was the best guy.
Yeah.
And last offseason, people were telling us that he was the best next thing in the NFL. Some people in their quarterback rankings had him like fifth, which I thought was insane last offseason. But so to what you were saying, a part of the reason why Cliff Kingsbury is no longer there is, they wanted it to slow down, but it was against what Kingsbury was asking the offense to do. Because with the Commander offense last year, the ESPN story has the plays. This is the stat. Washington ran no huddle on 1,271 plays in the past two seasons under Kingsbury. That's more than 810 more no-huddle plays than any other team in the NFL.
That's crazy.
So even though the idea would be slow down to save and to help Jayden Daniels be healthy, the way that Kingsbury ran the offense was absolute no-huddle, not under center, so shotgun, pistol formation, and they ran more than 810 more plays in 2 seasons than any other team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Of no-huddle football.
Yeah, and he also... In
like that's insane. Well, and that goes to this chaotic nature of the offense that has led Jayden Daniels to be running around like a chicken with his head cut off at times. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you could harness his ability with the different, genius play callers that we've seen around the league, like, you got to really wonder if the scheme could really get the most out of Jayden Daniels, because it felt like the last 2 years, the scheme under Kingsbury was set up to make him fail.
Yeah, and not only that were they running more plays, but he, like I said, scrambling at a 16% higher rate. He also only slid 4 times on 41 scrambles.
And that's insane to me.
He's taking hits.
Oh, of course.
Like, he's taking... Some of those he probably ran out of bounds, too. But sometimes you're taking hits when you're running out of bounds, too. You're either being pushed out of bounds, you're being hit out of bounds. Sometimes you're taking late hits out of bounds. You're still taking hits. And when you're taking hits, if you're built like Cam Newton, that's fine. He's not. He's very slender. He's very thin. He's not built like that. And he's had this issue, and this was brought up in the pre-draft process, and that was always the question mark. If you're going to play like that, and you're going to take hits, and in college, you can avoid those hits because you're just better than your competition. And you're faster than your competition, and you've got better blockers than everybody else because it's college. You can avoid that kind of stuff.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I distinctly remember him playing at LSU and eluding the pocket. I think it was 2 seasons ago, season opener against Florida State. Opening game. He escapes the pocket. He's like running for like a 14, 15-yard gain and gets popped.
Well, yeah,
and just taken off his feet. And it's like, dude's taking hits like that.
It's going to happen.
In the middle of, at the start of a college game, like, I'm pretty sure that was one of those situations like, oh man, this guy takes some hits.
But more often than not in college, you're going to avoid those. When you get to the NFL,
you can't.
The game is so much faster. It's the best of the best. And you're like, oh no, I can't do this. You got to get down and slide. And when you're only sliding 4 times in 41 scrambles, it's not the concussion problems that we see with Jackson Dart and how he's in concussion protocol in 50% of his games. It's the dude's just not being able to stay on the field, and it's costing his team a chance at the playoffs.
Here's what you'd have to do, and I know that you don't have this answer, so I'm not going to try and make you, like, put you in a spot where you don't have you would then have to take that number and look at how many times they run out of bounds, and then remove the times he ran out of bounds from the stat, because that would tell you the true number of how many times he's taking hits. Mm-hmm. And not sliding, not getting out of bounds. Because getting out of bounds is just as good as sliding.
Of course.
So he is quick enough to get to the sideline, but he's not always getting to the sideline. I would also say with Jayden Daniels, I mean, he played, 7 games last season? Mm-hmm. He had 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He was sacked 18 times. Took a lot of sacks. I think this is also something that, if you're comparing Drake May and Jayden Daniels, I'm less concerned about Drake May sacks that he took last season than Jayden Daniels, the hits that he takes when he scrambles. I think it's more concerning that Jayden Daniels takes the amount of hits he does when he leaves the pocket.
They're built differently.
And that's why I'm concerned about it. Like, I think Drake May will figure out the sack situation, but I think Jayden Daniels, a part of his game is to be, kind of like he's got the jittery, like, ability to make people miss and make the first guy miss.
Yeah.
A lot like Lamar Jackson can do the same thing, except Lamar has that, like, little smidge faster,
Lamar's
boost.
A bigger dude too.
Turbo boost, you know? And so, like, when you look at it, Jayden Daniels needs to protect himself.
Well, and also look at the guy who was sacked in all their rookie years, right? Drake May, Jayden Daniels. Look at Caleb Williams, sacked the most out of any of those guys. He didn't miss a single game. He was sacked 68 times.
He's a little thicker.
That's my point.
Thicker legs.
That's my point.
He's also someone, and I think that's where you look at that draft class specifically. Caleb can run. He doesn't want to run.
Exactly.
Drake May can run, but he doesn't want to run. It feels, watching Jayden Daniels, like he wants to run.
Yeah.
He can throw, but he wants to run.
It's what makes him electric, though. It's part of his game. It's like Lamar. It's what makes him such a dynamic player.
But the Ravens are in the same exact spot.
Mm-hmm.
Why has the Ravens season been deterred in multiple situations?
Because
Lamar's not healthy.
He's hobbling to practice every week because he's getting hurt.
Or he's not even available.
Yeah.
And that's where, if you're a young quarterback and you know that you need to take care of your body first and protect yourself first, and it really, what it reminds me of is like, I don't want to say and compare it to like other all-time greats, but it's like the Brady rules. Like, how did Brady play quarterback, which made him so great? It was, one, he was willing to throw the football away, live to play another down.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he didn't turn the ball over a ton. And then, two, he didn't take hits. And I get it. Like, people who hate the Patriots, listening to Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports, I agree. They changed the rules. You can't touch quarterbacks anymore.
Yeah.
But Brady, before the rules were completely slanted in his favor as a quarterback, he didn't take a lot of hits. He got rid of the football. He got down, and he wasn't out running around wild in the open field when a linebacker's come to take his head off.
Yeah.
And so he was able to preserve himself for an extended period of time. Peyton Manning was the same way. Peyton could run a little. You know, there's famous plays where like that play action play against the Cowboys where he's all by himself on a naked boot, and there's no one within 20 yards of him scampering into the end zone. Like, Peyton Manning could move a little, but the objective was in the pocket, passing, protect yourself. And if you can protect yourself and become a pocket passer, that's when you're at your best as a quarterback.
Well, look, if you want to run, look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers who runs to throw.
Yeah.
Like, he runs to throw. Like, he's one of the best guys that can throw on the move that's ever played. And when he does that, he's at his most dangerous because he extends plays, and when you run him out in any direction, he's his most lethal. Look at a guy like Josh Allen, who when he runs, you're like, oh no, like this guy's going to bowl some guys over because of how big he is. And when they get into the red zone, they have that dual threat because of how big he is, and he doesn't get hurt because of how big of a guy that he is, and they have that dual threat when they get into that area. And they can use that because he's such a good passer now, too. But then you look at the other side of a guy like Cam Newton, who shortened his career because that's his game. He was a runner, and he could throw, but he was primarily that running quarterback. But when that's your game, you shorten your career. And we're starting to see it with Lamar Jackson because every practice last year, during the week, Monday, he's in treatment. Tuesday, off day. Wednesday, questionable. He missed a practice. Thursday, well, he was doing some stuff on the side. We'll see. Friday, game time decision. Okay, well, he's ready. He's going to play. And it was like that every single week with Lamar Jackson. And then you've got Jayden Daniels now who missed a bunch of times. And you wanted to see the Commanders be able to replicate what they did because you went to the NFC Championship game in your rookie year. Like, you wanted to be able to at least make the playoffs and replicate what you were able to do the year before. But when you can't stay healthy, and that's the only knock. Like, you're an extremely talented quarterback, extremely talented, but you can't stay healthy, and that's going to be the problem, and that's going to be the knock on you moving forward. And hopefully with the new offensive coordinator, slow down the offense. Not that he can't handle anything mentally, but slow it down from a physical perspective.
Well, I think you could look at it from that angle. I just think play calling with a quarterback under center times up the rest of the offense. When they drop back to pass, it allows, when you're dropping back from under center, you're turning your back to the defense, which I get for a young quarterback may feel uncomfortable because so many young quarterbacks in high school and in college are only facing the line of scrimmage. No one is turning their back to the line of scrimmage anymore. And so that is one of those aspects where it creates timing to allow your receivers to get downfield. And so when you whip your head around and you turn to look through your progressions, that's where the timing then syncs up. Where if you're in shotgun, you're just staring them down, right?
Yeah.
It's a sped up progress. And even though you don't have to move as a quarterback, you don't have the timing takes an extra beat because you have to allow the receivers to get open or to get to their spot in the route. And so I think using the quarterback underneath center creates the illusion, more times than not, that you may run the football. And that alone will then create holes for the quarterback to pass through. And I think that is why Sean McVay is so great. That is why Shanahan is so great. It's because that is what they're doing with the offense. I would even say Mike McDaniels in Miami, that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Tua was under center. And Tua is not the caliber of quarterback that Jayden Daniels is, but like that's the idea is you want the quarterback under center, so then on every single play, the defense can't figure out whether or not it's a pass or a run play. That's the key. That's what you need to do as an offense. So I thought the comments yesterday from Dan Quinn talking to the media, introducing the new coordinators, and then also talking about how Jayden Daniels will hopefully expect to play more under center this upcoming season. We'll see if it keeps him healthy. It's definitely a storyline that we'll keep our eyes on because the Commanders were a disappointment this season, and I think that they're a team that people are going to expect to bounce back.